Good morning, Lemon Grove City Council. My name is Craig Reed. I'm the Regional Director for the Binge Underage Drinking Initiative here in San Diego County. And I want to spend a few minutes just talking to you about alcohol outlet density and why does it matter. I understand you're considering a liquor license along Broadway and wish to give you a little more information to help you make your decisions. So the Binge Underage Drinking Initiative, as the name applies, we're here to address the harmful effects of underage drinking and binge drinking, also known as high-risk drinking. And just in full disclosure, we are funded by the San Diego County Behavioral Health Services. So when we talk about alcohol-related harms, we're usually talking about DUI, car crashes, and underage drinking, as well as gang activity. These are mainly the things that you'll see on a regular basis in your news or maybe on your street. But there's also other alcohol-related harms to consider that are less obvious, at least not immediately, such as liver and brain damage, cancer, as well as adverse childhood experiences, which can definitely live with a youth who becomes a young person for the rest of their lives potentially. I just want to detail some terminology just so we're all clear on what we're talking about, as I'm going to be using these fairly frequently. On sale or on premise, these are alcohol-related establishments where you can purchase and consume alcohol on the same site. And then for off sale, or also known as off-premise establishments, these are like liquor stores, for example, where you purchase the alcohol, but you don't consume it on site. You take it to another location to do that. So just a big picture of some of the retail issues that you see regarding excessive alcohol is that it does annually lead to about 88,000 deaths across the United States. There's an associated cost with this that's just under $250 billion nationwide. In California, these particular costs, also known as societal costs, which means that we're including not just healthcare costs and costs of law enforcement, but also repairs, vandalism that the city has incurred, child neglect cases, child abuse cases, domestic violence. These are all costing the state of California $2.44 per standard drink. If you've ever gone to a bar recently, you'll know that more often than not, those drinks are far larger than one standard drink these days. So each drink that you're being served is more than that $2.44 in terms of societal cost. One thing that the research is very clear is the more access to alcohol that you have in a neighborhood, the more alcohol-related harms you're going to see. And also the people that live closest to this access to alcohol are the ones that incur the greatest amount of harms. So your family that's living just 2 doors down from a cluster of alcohol outlets, liquor stores, or bars, or what have you, they're going to experience more of those harms than the same family if they were living a mile or 2 down the road. Now, what does the research say about all these different types of alcohol-related harm? Well, we know that with liquor stores, there's a connection to increasing gang activity as you add more liquor stores into a neighborhood. We also see with other research that the same increase may increase the number of assaults that require hospitalization. And we do know that as you add more access to alcohol, liquor stores, especially in this case, it increases the consumption by youth. As we would like for all of our retailers to be responsible and never sell to a youth, I do know from alcoholic beverage control that they have a 13% failure rate in the number of times that people that are owners or the clerks at a liquor store will end up selling to somebody who's underage. So even though majority of liquor store owners and clerks are doing the right thing, there's enough of them that are not, that as you increase access and the more liquor stores you have in an area, the more places that a youth can try to gain access and do so successfully. There's also a marked increase as you add more concentration of alcohol outlets to suicide, especially for our young men and young teens that are male. For example, here we have, as with one research piece, A 10% increase in outlets is leading to a 1% increase in teen male suicides and a 0.5% increase in young adult male suicides. These may sound like small numbers, but as you'll see that it's very easy to go from adding just a few outlets over time to adding many more. And cumulatively, these would all contribute to these types of problems. Violent crime is another important feature that unfortunately is connected to liquor stores and other off-premise sites. Research that I found that was most interesting was that just by adding one alcohol establishment to a neighborhood increases violent crime by violent crimes per year per 1,000 individuals living in that neighborhood. So there is definitely a ripple effect of just even adding one additional outlet to a neighborhood, especially one that may already be experiencing high crime. When it comes to bars versus liquor stores, there's a different impact on kids that you'll see. For off-sale ones like liquor stores, you tend to see higher rates of child abuse as you add more liquor stores, since the family member is coming back home normally to drink. While with bars, you tend to see as you increase those that you're going to have higher rates of child neglect, since the drinking is occurring away from the home. And uh, these are just things to keep in mind as we go through that these are not being experienced by all families equally, that it's the ones that are in closer proximity to this overconcentration who are located in neighborhoods with excess alcohol. These are the ones that experience it more than other families. Also, there's an equity issue that we need to consider that it is historically redlined areas have been known in the literature to have more liquor stores in them than ones that were not redlined. But we also see that even today that Black neighborhoods, especially those of lower income, see a higher number of liquor stores than do their white counterpart neighborhoods. And this has been consistent regardless of the income level of the white neighborhood in question. When it comes to looking at overconcentration, we use alcohol beverage controls guidance here that you see. This is the recommended limits of which they put on alcohol-related licenses. You'll see that number 2 is the most relevant to our conversation today, which that they recommend no more than one off-sale general license per 2,500 county inhabitants in the census tract. And while it's not uncommon for cities to go over this using a feature called public convenience and necessity, these are the recommended limits at which they abide by. Now let's take a look at the city of Lemon Grove and how it looks when you look at this through this lens. Here we have a map of the census tracts of Lemon Grove, and you'll see that 4 of them do not really have an issue with the number of off-sale alcohol outlets in them. In fact, I would say that those 4 are doing very well and probably have very little alcohol-related harms being experienced by the families there. You'll see that there's one census tract that is slightly over-concentrated, and then the census tract along Broadway has 8 times more than what is recommended by ABC. So when you think about this, that the families that are living in 4 census tracts have a very different experience of Lemon Grove than the ones that are living closer to Broadway. The ones on Broadway are going to be the families that are going to be experiencing more of the alcohol-related harms than those that are located further away. Likewise, when you look at the bars and restaurants, the on sale, which has its own challenges as well, that you'll see that the same families that are experiencing too many liquor stores are also being subjected to more bars and restaurants that sell alcohol than any other neighborhood. And think of it this way, that these liquor stores and access to alcohol is a lot like having the candy bar at the cashier counter as you're trying to go through the grocery store. Just having one exposure to it, you can probably resist. Most people will be just fine. But as you increase the number of opportunities to reach for that candy bar, it's more likely the person will go ahead and indulge themselves by taking advantage of that. And that's what the concern is here, is that these neighborhoods that are located along Broadway are being tempted by more access to alcohol, more opportunities to drink than the other neighborhoods, and therefore are going to experience more of the alcohol-related harms that are experienced because of that. So in conclusion, liquor stores, they tend to cluster. And didn't get into this specifically, but it's not uncommon for liquor stores, smoke shops, and other adult businesses to cluster together. They tend to cluster in poorer Black neighborhoods than any other type of neighborhood. There is a clear connection to increase in crime as you add these to the area. They can negatively impact businesses thanks to that increase in crime. We have an experience going on right now on Third Avenue in Chula Vista that I'll happily share if you like, where businesses that are not selling alcohol are being negatively impacted by those that do. And of course, as I've mentioned before, there are negative impacts to youth and families as you increase the overall access of alcohol, especially for those that live close to those overconcentrated neighborhoods. And here are my references for anybody who's interested in digging more. Happy to share more. These are just the ones that I used the most during this particular presentation. But there's plenty of research out there that I'm happy to share with you. And here's my contact information if you have additional questions. I thank you very much for your time today and look forward to hearing from you in the future.